Today we're doing a little talk on just on the whole acquisition process, not so much the process as much as just we're kind of getting down to the nub in timeline to buy books that have MA in it for the rest of this year. So we're just going to talk about that. And I got my good friend here with us, Pat Wilson with Access Capital. Hey, Pat.
Hey, John.
How you doing, brother?
Excellent. Excellent.
That boy. Good. So we have really, I really think a lot of these guys, I talk to them really almost every day, sometimes several times a day. They're our partner that helps us with the valuations. And so Pat's on here too. We'll just kind of ham and egg it together and see how it goes. I don't think I have a whole lot. We're not going to take a full half hour, but if there's things that you want to ask about, there's questions that maybe we didn't answer, just chime in. You can chat and we'll just take a real quick second and answer them as we go through, because I want you to get your questions answered, because a lot of times we talk about tax stuff and we're not going to talk about that today, but just kind of like the timeline that we have here for the rest of the year for us to be buying books, and because we're kind of, like I said, we're getting close. So let's go. So here's just our little agenda. We thought we'd talk a little bit about our history, just really quick. Pat can chime in on their history too. Why is it urgent right now? I mean, what makes it so urgent right now? And then we thought we'd go through what the process looks like, kind of the timeline of the process itself, and then just answer any questions that come up. So we'll start out here with history. You know, for us, Pat and his group, how many have you guys done, Pat?
How many acquisitions?
Yeah.
Wow. So, prior to joining Integrity, we started in 2012. So it's well over 1,000 now as far as kind of total acquisitions since we started.
Yeah. Way over that, I know. For us, our first one that we did was in 2018, January 1 of 2018. A great guy, local, not a local agent, but an agent of ours over in Indiana. And we'd never bought one before. We'd been talking about it. We really wanted to try it. This guy came down with terminal cancer and asked us, would we consider buying it? And we did. So we bought that January 1 of 2018. And then we just kind of bought one or two a year for the next couple of years. So when we joined Integrity, that was in July of 20. So it's been 3 years ago right now. We had bought 4 books at that time, outside of our own retail guys, our captive guys. Once we joined Integrity, we really knew that this was a part that we wanted to focus on. We really liked it. We were having success with it. We thought that we could grow the business that way. It was really being received well. We knew there was a big need out there. And I just went back and counted since May of 21. That was the first one that we bought with Integrity and with Pat's group. We've done 25 deals that are either closed or they're closing. They're down the line and they're all signed up. We're just waiting on a few things to come to pass so we can close on them. So in the last 2 years, we've done 25. Prior to that, we've done 4. Sure doesn't make us an expert, but we really feel good about it, and we're running hard here. But the purpose of this this webinar today, this talk today, is that if you're one of those guys out there right now thinking, God, I'm kind of thinking about it, maybe I'll give those guys a call in August or September, and I'm kind of making my mind up if I wanted to do another AHIP or do the certifications. You can't wait that long, guys. I'm just telling you, we just got a few weeks left where we can get these closed in time. And here's why. Pat, I'm doing all the talking. You got anything you want to throw in here so far?
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of, it really is, if you are planning for 2024, kind of what you want to do with that block of business, whether it's something you want to continue producing on, or if it's something that you want to transition, whether it be retirement or any other transition. If it's something that they want to transition, it is important to get the valuation and get these submitted to the carriers prior to, September 1st, really. I mean, on mid-August is when we would want to have them submitted to carriers, just because, like you mentioned, the blackout period for these carriers is anything during an open enrollment, they will really just not do any age of record changes.
No, we're shut down there. So let's go on to the next one here. So that's what Pat was just saying. That's why it's urgent now. We thought we ought to do a little shout out here, is because of the blackout period for all the MA business, which almost all the books that we buy anymore have MA in it. Some of it is more MA than MedSup. We did just close on a MedSup deal last week on a guy had a nice book, and it was all MedSup, which we love that, but most of them have MA in it. And the blackout period starts it's September 1 through the end of the year. Really, I think it's October 1 through the end of the year, but we've got to get these deals put together really by August 1. I guess Pat said to me yesterday, probably the drop dead date would be August 15th if we could work it all out. But after that time, we can't take on any more because of, well, we'll kind of explain the process, how it works here, guys, and give you a little bit of feel for it. And then if you have any questions, we'll answer them and get you back to your afternoon here. So here's what our process looks like for us. The valuation process, and this is where Pat and his team take off. You want to just jump on that one, Pat, and tell them real quick what you're looking for and what you need if they do want to get their book valued right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a pretty simple process. There's a little bit of data collection that we do initially. And typically before we would have the agent submit any data to us, we would send them kind of a non-disclosure confidentiality agreement saying any of this information that you provide us is strictly used for evaluation. So from there, we collect the commission statements is really the most important thing we looked at. And we do look at the last 12 months of commission statements. Really 12 months gives us a good scope of the block of business. We make sure, any active policies are included in the valuation. We just want to make sure all the policies that are, active are included in our actuarial valuation. And really from there, once we collect that information, it doesn't take us too long to kind of have our team look at it and really kind of determine a valuation. And really the valuation, we look at each individual policy and look at really the components of that policy. We look at the product type, the carrier, the duration of the policy, the date of issue, several different factors, and really doing our best to determine kind of what we believe that policy will generate in way of future commissions for the lifetime of the policy. And we would do that for each carrier, each policy, and kind of come up with that overall value of kind of what we deem this block of business is worth. And then in coordination with New Horizons, we would kind of present you that offer and kind of the structure of that, how that purchase would go down.
Right. So that valuation process, if it's just like one or two carriers, like you got UHC and something else, it's those guys really move quick. We get them back really, really fast. But some of the guys that we work with, they might have 25 different carriers.
Mm-hmm.
They got little dribs and drabs here. Maybe some have a lot in it, but you got to value them all, and they're time consuming, aren't they, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, with the multiple carriers, we want to make sure everything's included. So we do go through all the carriers, make sure we have all the information. And like John said, if there is typically, like we like to say, we can get you an offer once we have all the information within probably about 4 to 5 business days. But if it does have a dozen or so carriers, it may take a little bit longer just because of the time consideration.
Yeah, right. So like you said, they will come up then with a written offer. This is what we can offer on this book. We present it, we talk it through. If the seller says, yeah, this sounds fair, that's kind of what I was thinking, let's go, then Pat and his team will draft up the purchase agreement, which will list every policy that's being bought, will be disclosed in that, as well as the details of the deal, of the offer. The thing that takes time, though, is that next bullet is every carrier that's in there, we have to do a commission assignment over to us. Okay, so if you've got 10 carriers, there's 10 different commission assignments that go out to each of those carriers, and we cannot close until we get all of those back. And that's the part that really, we do our best to stay on top of it, stay after those carriers. Some are really good about hustling those right back to us. Others, we really have to work at, to get them across the finish line, because we can't close and get you paid until we get all those commission assignments approved. So that's the part, the valuation. Those guys can hump. They know we're down to a few days and get it done, get you the offer in front of you. But what takes the time is getting those carriers to approve those assignments so we can close, and we got to get that all done before the blackout period starts.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I did see a question there that one,
Yep.
we would do the valuation work. So really the only thing we would need from the agent is the kind of the assistance in collecting the information. Then we would do the valuation process.
Right. And really, guys, what that means is you just need to give them your credentials for each carrier that you want to sell. So you give them your user ID and your password for that carrier. You, like Pat said, you sign a confidentiality agreement with us. So just saying, we're only using this information to come up with this value, and then those guys take off and run. So that's it. That's pretty much out of your hands then. I mean, you don't have to gather a whole bunch of information on your end. Just give us your ID and your password, and then they'll take it from there.
Yes, that is the most efficient way to do it. Sometimes there's reports on the carrier websites that have additional information that we use. So it is definitely the most efficient way for us to put together evaluation in the most timely way.
Yep. We got another one here, Jason.
Yeah. So somebody asks, carrier commission assignments before the closing sounds dangerous if the deal falls through.
Well, I'll tell you how we handle that. We've never had a deal fall through, because you know what the agreement is or what the offer is, but until we close, we pass through those commissions. So what happens, I'll use United Healthcare as an example. They're probably the fastest to approve these commission assignments. We submit that today, we probably have it back next week. They're that quick. So what will happen is we haven't closed yet. So those commissions are going to start coming to us. What we do is we just turn around and pass those right back through to the agent, right back through to the seller until we close. And we do that with every carrier until we have them all in-house, and then we close. So that's how it works.
Yeah, and one addition to that, I mean, we do understand. So when we do the valuation to the time of close, and we understand there might be new policies written that were not initially included in the valuation. So,
Right.
for instance, if when we're collecting the commission statement on policy, it is written. I mean, we don't discourage people to write during that period. If you want to write a policy, definitely do so. But it might not be included in the initial offer just because we weren't available to see it. What we do is basically a true up after the assignment takes place. So it basically an amendment to the original purchase saying, okay, these X amount of policies were written prior actually after the valuation. And we just want to make sure any of those policies you will get paid on.
That's exactly right. And that happens all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, happens all the time. What else we got? We got another question here.
Chandra asks, how do you value MedSup versus MA versus PDP?
So when we look at, when we look at the block of business, so MedSup is obviously a little bit different than Medicare Advantage, but with Medicare Supplement, it's a similar valuation in the sense that we do still look at each individual policy. For Medicare Supplements, a little bit different just because the duration of the policy means a little bit more as far as kind of commissionable value. What year it is in its lifespan of commission. It does affect the valuation of the policy. So we do look at a lot of different things when we're looking at Medicare Supplement, Medicare Advantage, the prescription plan. So they all get categorized specifically on kind of how they generate the commissionable value.
Yeah.
Okay, Patrick asks, is there a minimum amount of business you require before you purchase the business? And do you also purchase annuity contracts?
I can answer that one. Then you help me out, Pat. There is no minimum. We've done some of these books are really tiny. I mean, like less than 20 policies. We've done a few of those. So if it makes sense, we're glad to still take them on. keep in mind the way we look at all of these, we roll all of these customers into our shop here and just treat them all like an agency. So they'll have an in-house rep that's servicing that particular book that we bought in Georgia or Florida, wherever it's at. But we give them the same service that we do to the people that live here in Decatur. It's just that we're not going to meet them, but we reach out and touch them a lot. On the annuity question, several of the books that we've bought had annuity in it. Now, we can't give, the way we've looked at it, and Pat, I'll let you address it, we've not given any value. We give value to the annuity because it's definitely a value. If you've got 30 or 40 annuity customers and 30 or 40 annuities on the books, we want to work with them. Here's how we've handled it. We can't give you money up front for those because there's no money in it for us up front. But what we can do is structure it that if we rewrite one of those annuities that you've written, let's say it's a 5-year deal and it matures next year, and that person wants to renew that with us with the same carrier, another one, and it generates a new commission, we'll cut you in on that. That's what we've done on books like that. So I feel like that's fair. It's fair to us. I feel like it's really fair to the agent too. And we're still trying to do our best to do the right thing for the customer. You got any ads on that, Pat?
No, I think that was said well. Like you said,
I couldn't
it's
say
hard.
it again. So
Yeah,
good.
it's hard. It's hard for us to, like you said, to just because most of those annuities are all, initial payments, initial commission. So from our perspective, it's hard to, include that in the valuation, the offer.
Okay, do you want to finish part two?
Yeah, let me go. I'll go on. This is the last part of us talking here. And then we can answer some more questions. But while Pat and his team are doing the valuation and we've sent out for the commission assignments and waiting for all that stuff to get back, what we do in the meantime is, and this takes time too, obviously, is we get all your client info into our CRM so we can start communicating to those customers when we close. We do an introductory letter. So we craft a letter on our end from your point of view or from the seller's point of view. And all of this is at our expense, of course, part of the deal. And then you approve the letter, you tweak it, you change it, but we want to make a great introduction, an announcement to your customers about what's going on. And so that's a real important piece of it. We handle all of that. And then right on the heels of that, we personally call every customer and just introduce ourselves to them, kind of break the ice a little bit, answer any questions. If they have any immediate needs, help them. All of that. Now that part happens right at close or right after close. And then they kind of just get into our funnel where one of the ways that we communicate is we do a newsletter to all these customers every 2 weeks. So it's one that we produce. Jason and Becca, their team do that. And it's just another way to be sticky with that customer, that they know that we care, we're there for them. And since we're not going to have an office in their backyard like maybe they're used to now. Another thing that has to happen in communication is some of the MA carriers require that a letter from them, which we have to send out, but they produce a template letter that has to go out to the customer. Aetna requires that. So any Aetna MA book that we buy, they not only get our letter of introductory and kind of an announcement of what's going on, but then we also have to send out a letter from Aetna to all these people, letting them know what's going on as well. Some of the MA carriers require that. So there's a lot of stuff that has to happen. And when there's MA involved or PDP involved, it all has to happen before the blackout. So that's why August 15th is really the hard stop. And what we're really looking to do is wrap up all the loose ends that we have, guys that want to get valued and then determine that it's right for them to sell now or not, get the ball moving by August 1. And that gives us time to get it all done before the blackout starts.
In another addition to that, just real quick, that collecting that, as far as the information of the policyholders, a lot of the carriers, at time of transfer will provide a list of the policyholders and as far as the contact information. So depending on the carrier, we should have that information, but some carriers are less they don't provide as much information. So sometimes we would ask for the agent to, supplement some of those supplement some of those carriers with the information for the CRM.
That was it. That was kind of short and quick, but do we got any more questions here, bud?
Yeah, we have a few more. Ann asks, after we work out a deal on the sale, how does the death of a policyholder affect the deal?
It doesn't affect you because we're on the hook for it, but it affects us. But
Yeah, so we do in the valuation, we understand that there's going to be lapses, there's going to be mortality. So we do factor, we try to do our best to, understand that that's going to happen. So that does not affect the agent in any way as far as after the sale.
No, the deal is the deal, and you're going to get paid no matter what.
Okay, who pays for legal fees?
We don't have any legal fees. I mean, we produce the agreement document. The written offer is obviously in writing, and then the purchase agreement will be presented to you. If you feel like you need to take it to an attorney, then that's going to be on you. We're not going to pay for that. But other than that, there are no other costs. Typically, Access Capital has a 1% closing cost for the work that they do, which is in every deal. So if it's $100,000 offer, to make it easy, there'd be $1,000 closing cost would come off the top. But that's it.
Okay,
Yeah, and then
Russ,
we would do all the administration work as far as working with the carriers to process the agent record changes.
okay, Russ asks, can an agent continue to write MedSup, MAPD, and PDP after they sell their book?
Sure can. I can answer that. So absolutely, we want that. I've got an agent right now. I just talked today. We're just closing on her book today. So she's probably going to get paid on Monday or Tuesday, but she's moving out of state, but she wants to stay in it. So we're thrilled. We'll just reappoint her and she can go out there and have at it and write all that she wants to and start a new book, and we'll buy that one from her in a few years. So no, we love that.
Okay, does the selling agent have to continue to certify for the new agent to get MA commission renewals?
Good question. No, we're the ones who have to take over that certification. But, like right now, I know how guys think. A lot of the older guys, especially since I'm an old guy, you're kind of been just wondering, am I going to do this another year or not? And we put it off, as most good salespeople do, to the last minute. And we're not going to do that AHIP until we have to. So we're waiting until September, and we're just dreading it and not even sure we want to do it. I didn't sell anything last year. I don't know why I'm doing it this year, but you have to do it in order to get paid your renewals on it. Well, that's why we're doing this right now. You can't wait till September and call us and say, I'm not going to do this. Just buy me out right now. We can't. You're going to have to certify. You're going to have to take the AHIP so you can keep those commissions alive, and then we'll buy it next year. So we're down close here. What else, guys? Anybody? Pat, you got any closing thoughts, buddy?
No, I mean, as far as it should be. I mean, it's a pretty painless process from beginning to end, and we really try to work with the agent to, as far as price point goes, do something, have something that makes sense for the agent as well as us. That's our ultimate goal, is find a price point that really works for the agent as well as us. So, but yeah, if you have any additional questions, definitely, I'm sure you can provide my contact in there. I see Sandra says, how can we contact either of you? I'm sure we can send out an email as far as valuation questions. I'd be happy to talk with anyone who has specific questions in that regard.
Great.
Yeah, we will be sending a follow-up email after this to everyone who attended. So
Yeah, just call. Chandra, if you want to talk right now, I'm in the rest of the afternoon. That number there on the screen, you can reach me and we can visit a little bit. Hey guys, thanks a bunch, everybody. I hope you're doing great. Have a great, safe, healthy summer, and anything we can do to help, just give us a shout. Thanks a bunch, Pat.
Yep, appreciate it, John.
Yeah.